Hi guys, thanks so much for coming back for more Whole Wellness with Ann. I told you that I would be doing a follow-up video about me and my sister once we had a chance to talk. But she texted me earlier this week to ask me if we could push it back another week, our discussion, which I told her, let me know when you're ready to talk. And so she actually texted me today, it's Sunday today, and she said, how about this week for our talk? And I said, great, let's talk. And we hammered down Tuesday to talk. And but I've been thinking a lot about what has happened with me and my sister, and I've been mulling over how I feel about everything. And the first video I did, I really gave a lot of history about how we got to this point, and I wouldn't even be vlogging about this if she had not texted me with her what I call ass chewing text on that Thursday a week and a half ago, which I think it was like the 24th, February 24th. But I'm going to do a quick recap in this video. I did all the history in the other video, but I'm going to actually do a quick recap and why, and wrap with my thoughts on why I feel the way I do, at the end of this video. So firstly, it was the fall of 2021 when my sister texted me and my family to let us know that she and her husband were buying a house and, moving to the other side of town, and that the approximate move date was February or March. On January 24th, specifically of this year, I texted and asked her if things were still progressing with the move and if they were still on target to be out of their apartment by the end of February or the end of March. And I asked her to clarify because I couldn't remember whether it was February or March that they were supposed to be out of their apartment. And she had said at that time they had already moved half their stuff, and they found a weekend where there were friends available and a truck available. And so they moved like half of their stuff that weekend. That was at the end of January, January 24th. And then they were still on target to be moved out of their apartment by the end of February. She said they need to be out of their apartment by the last day of February. And then we had a couple texts in between that were about nothing much, just about some of the stuff we'd been up to, her engraving project that she's been working on. And then my move back to the area came about very suddenly and very unexpectedly. I had actually not been planning on moving back to the area until possibly this summer. But she didn't know that, even that, because I hadn't really been talking too intimately with her, obviously, up to this point. I had just been trying to maintain some sort of relationship with her. So anyway, we had exchanged a couple of texts in between, and on February 19th, I had been back in the area for a week, and I texted her asking her if she had a minute to text because I wanted to let her know that I was back in the area. I had already told my parents by this point, and I didn't really want her finding out secondhand, but I mean, I really wasn't too concerned about her finding out secondhand because it's not realistic and feasible for me to call every single friend of mine and every single family member to let them know I'm moving back. I mean, that would be literally probably 125 phone calls to discuss the whole thing. And it's too long and complicated to describe to everybody. In my mind, it just wasn't a big deal. So I texted her asking her if she had just a minute to text, and she goes, oh, I'd love to today, but today's moving day, busy, busy, busy. We're way behind. And I was like, oh, okay. So then on the 23rd, I texted her again because I'm like, I really got to let her know I'm back in the area before we run into each other at the grocery store. Not that I was too concerned, but I still felt obligated. I texted her asking her how the move went and are they settled, and she said they were going to spend their first night together that Monday. And that was on, let's see, so I guess that would have been, the 23rd would have been a Wednesday. So I texted her on that Wednesday to ask, you know, are they settled and stuff? And she was saying Monday night is their first night, the night of the 28th, February 28th. And I said, well, congrats. I just wanted to let you know, because I figured it's about time before she finds out secondhand. And you know what? It's not a big deal. So I said, I just wanted to let you know that I'm back in the area. Mom and Dad know in case you've already heard it, but congrats and hugs on the new place. And she just responds, wow, I'm speechless. Thanks and congratulations back. I say, no need to be speechless, no big deal, and you're very welcome. And then the next day, Thursday the 24th, is when I got the ass chewing text. She said in her ass chewing text that she's completely lost and confused regarding where we stand in our relationship. She asked what on earth happened. She said, and she acknowledges that we disagreed on COVID politics. She said the phrase COVID politics, and I don't even understand that. COVID or politics? Like, I don't think we ever disagreed on COVID politics. I don't think there's such a thing as COVID politics in the first place. I mean, there's COVID, that's a disease or a virus, and there's politics. And I guess, not to get off on a tangent, but they're two separate things in my opinion. So I'm not sure what she meant by that. Maybe she meant policies, COVID policies. And then boom, relationship dead. That's what she said in her text. And then she says, if this is our new permanent norm, would you please just tell me I'm not going to keep doing this one-sided thing? That's what those are some of the takeaways from her text. And I give these to you verbatim. Those are the phrases she said to me in her ass chewing text. Follow-up texts, she said something like, what relationship do we have so I know how to proceed? Then she said she's hurt by our lack of relationship, but not really angry. And so I said, you know, let's talk about this in person. And then she had said after Monday the 28th, which is their first night in their apartment. They turn their keys in and she knows her schedule better. And then after a few more texts, I asked, just for clarification, because I wanted to make sure I understood before we talked, why the sudden ass chewing text? Why is she suddenly so angry or hurt, or, you know, why this suddenly bothered her, why she's suddenly aware of our relationship problems or whatever. And she said the surprise of me moving back to the area emphasized the distance between us to her. Then on Wednesday, March 2nd, she texted me, asked if she can move our talk back to the next week, this coming week, now that today's Sunday, and says that moving was has her in survival mode, and she's not thinking 100% clear for a major heart-to-heart. And these are my takeaways on this. Firstly, she never initiated contact with me via text, phone, email after I moved out of the area in April of 2021. And back then, I called and requested us to get together to talk. I made a special announcement. I made it a special announcement to her. I made it a big deal. And she was one of the first people to know. Many of my family members weren't even told by me. They found out secondhand. But I made it a special deal for her, and it didn't have any effect. She never initiated any communication to me after I left the area last spring. The first text communication we had after I moved in April and left the area was on July 20th, when I texted her to request her to remove me from yet another group text thread with my family, and to text me privately if she has something to tell me. And she said, will do. And then again, I have tried to keep in contact with her. And may I remind you that, again, going back through, I did the work of going back through the timeline of communication between us, and I have initiated text to her 35 times in the last year and a half, and she has initiated text to me 10 times, or 11 times, 11 times. My 35 to her 11. And yet she says to me that our relationship is one-sided on my terms and so on and so forth. And yet after I moved the last time and I made the announcement to her that I was moving was extremely special. And when I left the area, it should have been no surprise to her because I had already bought a house and owned a house in the area that I was moving to for years. And we had been talking about doing this for years. It should have been on a radar. It didn't come out of left field. If she had been talking to me and we had had a close relationship, she would have known where we stood. She would have known where I stood. She would have known what was going on with my job at the time. She would have known about my counseling. She would have known about my growth, so on and so forth. She would have known about my kids and what they were going through and the changes going on with us as a family. I'm here to tell you, I could go on and on. But then, even after I texted her and told her on the 23rd that we were back in the area because she didn't want to text before and she didn't want to get together to talk, I finally just texted her and said, okay, we're back in the area. She never asked how or why I came to be back in the area. She never asked one question about why we were back, how we were back, what's been happening, or anything. She reacted and she gave me an ass chewing and accused me of a bunch of stuff that I have not done. Then she wants me to have the exclusive responsibility of defining the status of our relationship. I gotta tell ya, I think under normal circumstances, this would hurt me all over again. But when you look at the facts of the situation, it is really very simple. It is one-sided. She's right about that. She speaks truth. The entire relationship has been maintained by me. Whatever relationship we have right now has been because of me and my efforts to maintain a relationship with her. That is truth. That's evidenced by the text communications we have had since June of 2020. I wrote out the timeline. I told you in my prior video that I did that. I needed to do that for my own sanity and because I need to stay focused on truth and fact and not emotions. Because everything that I've been through with my family and the things I've been accused of and blamed for has made me feel crazy. They're the kings and queens of gaslighting. They have told me that they have said all kinds of things about me, and that has been hard for me. It has been hard to grasp. It's been hard to wrap my head around them, around everything. I love them. I love my family. But I don't think there's a chance in heck that I could ever be close to any one of them again, given the situation. I have evaluated every single relationship of mine since I started therapy, and I continue to do so every day with every person that I come into contact with. I evaluate, I weigh the boundaries, I have my radar up, I have my monitor on, I'm always second guessing what I'm thinking and saying and trying to be smart and fair and logical and reasonable and not act or react with emotions. Not that I'm perfect. This is just what I'm striving to do. And now she wants to meet on Tuesday to talk. And I told her, just so she would have a heads up, let's go out to dinner. Let's meet somewhere. And she said, is that going to be okay? Or do we need privacy? And I said, well, I don't think we're really going to accomplish too much in our first conversation. And there's a reason for that, because I intend to state the facts before her and not get off topic and just see how she handles it, if she wants to receive the facts or not. My guess is that she's not going to want to receive the facts. My guess is that every time I present facts to her, she is going to rebuttal with crazy making stuff and things that don't make sense and something that's going to be an effort to derail me and very emotional and very pungent and very confusing. That I don't think has been the very nature of our relationship our entire lives, but that is the nature of two very unhealthy sisters who have grown up in a very unhealthy home and have had very specific roles in that family and have been very hurt by those roles in their family. If I could find some way to make my sister get better and make her be healthy, I would, but I don't see that happening because she is, in fact, now in a marriage with somebody who is, I just don't really want to go there on video right now because I've had all kinds of theories and ideas of what's going on and where it's going and where it's headed. But I don't want to speak it out loud because I don't want to jinx it, or I've had it happen before where once I speak it out loud, it becomes truth, and I don't want to see my sister devastated in that way. But I have a feeling she's going to get devastated either now or later at some point in time, and I dread that day. But in the meantime, I've got a date to meet with her on Tuesday evening to talk. And I'll keep you posted. But at this point in time, I'm really in the frame of mind where I pity my sister. I pity everyone in my family, actually, because they can't see the hurt and the harm and the unhealthy way that they're living and interacting with each other in their relationships and their lives. It's not just them either. They're hurting others, too, in the process. But it's not for me to say, you know, I have attempted to, on many occasions, try to talk to multiple members of my family over the last few years. And it is like trying to climb a vine of thorns. You may make a little progress and then you slip or you get scratched or you're injured and then you just get cut up and you're bleeding. And so do you really want to climb that vine of thorns? No, no, no. I'll stick with the daisies and the sunflowers and the roses and the orchids in my life. Beautiful things, beautiful people, peace, joy, love, living with intent, living with purpose. I harbor no ill will towards my sister. I am not hurt by the things she accuses me of anymore. I think at first I was. I think at first more than anything, I was shocked by the text she sent me and the accusations she made. But now that I've processed it all, it makes complete sense considering everything. In my mind, it makes complete sense. This is what I would have expected from someone as injured and as injured as she is and as forgotten as she is. She is the forgotten child in my family. That was her role. There was nothing spectacular about her growing up. She had no talents. She was not encouraged to do anything particular, participate in any sports, be in any clubs. You know, all my brothers were in wrestling and football, and I was supposed to be the artist and the science geek and the track star and band person and all this other stuff. We all had these things that we were good at and we were supposed to do and expected to do and encouraged to do and were applauded for and approved because of, and she just was in the background being gray, just being nothing spectacular. And let me say for the record, my sister has the most spectacular heart of any person I've ever known. Over the last couple of years, I've seen it get very cloudy and very foggy around her heart. And that's a shame, but I don't think it's gone. There's one thing that is super remarkable about my sister, and that is the person who she is. She is an angel in the physical form. It's just that she's lost her way the last couple of years, and I hope that she finds her way back. And I hope that if nothing else comes from this talk that we have, that perhaps the truth and the facts that I am willing to share with her give her something to go home and think about. And hopefully, with any luck and God's good grace, she will someday see the truth for what it is too and start on a path of her own healing and her own wellness. Because Lord knows we all need it. Thank you so much for joining me again on another video of Whole Wellness with Ann. Have a blessed day and take care of you.